Hi friends, in our time together today we're going to learn the slip jig, the butterfly. This is a great and popular tune that at some point we all need to learn. I've honestly been a little reluctant to teach it to us because it has some complexities that might frustrate us. And I don't ever want to frustrate us. I want us to keep going. However, it's time we can stretch ourselves and give this tune a shot. So I want us to dive into it. Working on this tune will really help us grow in our abilities because we're going to have to go pretty far into the upper register. There are some triplets we're going to have to play, and it's going to stretch our ability and skills with ornaments. So it'll be great. A slip jig. It's written in 9/8 time. Each eighth note gets one beat, and there are 9 beats to a measure, and that means that each measure has 3 groups of 3 notes. It has a bit of a lilting feel to it, and the emphasis can be on the beginning of each group, or you could emphasize the beginning of each measure, depending upon how you want to drive the tune. So what I'll do is I'll play through this tune with no ornaments except a little tonguing in places to differentiate between some of the repeating notes. We'll talk about any trouble spots you might experience as you're playing. I'll share some of what I've seen other people do with ornaments and some of what I enjoy doing with ornaments. I'll share after that whatever story we know behind this really fun tune, because it's great to know the story behind the tune, as that will deeply inform how we play the tune. I'll also break this video into chapters so that you can jump around. Like after watching the whole thing, you can jump back to the play along with Scott section. And so listen to the play along with Scott section a couple times and then we'll play along with me. It's great fun. And I'll place a link to the music and tabs in the notes to this video for you. So the butterfly, it has 3 parts, and each part is just 4 measures long, and each part repeats. And so you'll notice I'll play through the first part, it repeats. We'll move to the second part, it repeats. The third part, it repeats. And so I'll stand, as I often do, and I'll play at a steady pace so that you could see kind of what my fingers are doing. And then we'll talk about any issues you may find with the tune and things to do with it. So, the butterfly. Yes, that's how it ends. Okay, that's pretty funny. Let's jump into the challenging things. One of the challenging bits is, how are you going to end this? I have a hard time leaving a tune hanging and unresolved. So I've seen some people play it like I just did. You just leave it. Because if you're thinking about a butterfly, the butterfly, you're waiting for it to just dance away, flit away onto the next flower. And maybe that's what the composer had in mind here. And I've seen other people take it a step down. I've seen other folks resolve it by going to one of the triplet sections. I personally like that, and you add it in your preference. Play with that. See how you want to end this tune. As far as trouble spots go, there are in the triplets, you may have to work on them, like the end of the first section. That A, F sharp, D. I found at first that I had to play that entire measure slowly a number of times to make sure I could do the transition from the D, B, A, F sharp, D. You might be able to throw in an ornament to help you with that transition. Another challenge is getting into the rhythm. And so one of the ways that for me practicing I get into the rhythm is I kind of bounce with it. You could do that just to get that rhythm kind of into your body and into your mind. The biggest challenge we're going to face is if we're at some point beginners in our playing. It's in that second part where you transition. You're going early on the second part, you're going up to the second octave, and then in the second part you're actually walking up in sort of a bouncy way up from the lower octave B to the second octave B. It's a little hard to just go from B to B, and so I think you'll find that jumping up there is helpful. If you're having issues with that, work on it, but plow through it. If you're not hitting the notes, keep going. That's okay. Now let's think about some ornaments. You know I like to leave ornaments up to you, but here are some things you could do. I love the idea of imagining the way a butterfly flits almost erratically around. And so you want some ornamentations that are going to cause a little bit of a jumpy feel. Entering into it. So you can, I like to add a little trill, or you can add a roll there on those held notes. Whatever you want to do to really convey some movement. The butterfly, kind of hovers over a flower, rests on it, and so on some of those held notes, you might want to hold it out and then just jump into the next transition note. Great song for throwing in cuts where you're transitioning up. Actually, more when you're transitioning down, you're getting that sort of butterfly sort of bounciness into it. Some of as you're moving up the scale to the higher notes, slide into some of those. That's helpful, even to hit them well. Great for cuts and taps. It's just a good all-around song. In the next video, I'm going to play through my current take on the tune based on my abilities. So check that out when I post that, and I hope you have fun with it. Beautiful tune. Play with it. Experiment with it. I've told you before, I'll play through a tune in a variety of ways as I experiment with it, and I'd like you to do that too, especially with this one. So what's the story behind this tune? Well, it's pretty interesting. There's a fiddle player named Tommy Potts who was born, I think, 1912-ish, and brilliant musician, great fiddle player, did a lot of composing, liked really a lot of solo playing from what I've gathered and read. He was a fireman as his day job, but what he would do is he would take a lot of older tunes and then he would improvise on them some. He would write some of his own pieces into these old tunes. And so with this one, he took at least an older tune called Skin the Peeler and this older Slip Jig. And then depending upon which version of the older Slip Jig, Skin the Peeler you look at, he left segments 2 and 3 of the Butterfly as is, or he flipped them depending upon which version you're looking at. And then he wrote the intro in the same basic style. And then he added his own flair to it. So that's what you're getting with the Butterfly. You're getting Tommy Potts taking at least one old Slip Jig and recrafting it as the Butterfly. And it's beautiful. Listen to some of his recordings that are available. He has a later record that actually includes him playing the Butterfly on it. He plays it so quickly. I would never have seen a butterfly flit about that quickly, but delightful. So I'll play this more at a steady pace when I play it because, well, I need to play according to my abilities. So anyway, that's the kind of thing Tommy would do, is he would find an older tune, he'd improvise, embellish, and he'd add to it, and a brilliant musician. So listen to some of his stuff. Anyway, play through the Butterfly. Let me know what questions or thoughts you have. How did playing it feel to you? What ornaments did you decide to use? What challenges did you have? Let's work on that together. Until next time, my friends, this is Scott Shade. Happy low D whistling.